we have a UFC pay-per-view on Saturday night going down in Australia. It is now time for our official UFC 284 betting preview. So let's get right into the picks, and we're going to start in the main event. Alexander Volkanovski coming in as a plus 310 underdog, moving up to challenge the lightweight champion, 155 pounds, Islam Makhachev. And guess what I'm doing here, guys? I am taking a shot on the dog. Volkanovski, the pound-for-pound king. Let's make a big dog bark in this one. So this line is way off. Did people not see Volkanovski's last fight where he completely beat the brakes off Max Holloway? Did people not realize Volkanovski is on a 22-fight win streak? This man hasn't lost since 2013. And he's sitting here at plus 310 versus the guy who has just one win versus someone currently ranked in the top 10 in the lightweight division? Give me a break. Islam sitting here somehow dismissing the pound-for-pound king, talking about already moving up to welterweight to conquer that division. This guy has 0 title defenses. Mocking Volkanovski's height. Don't overreact to that size difference. Volk is the shorter man in the majority of his fights, and despite this, still #1 pound-for-pound in the world. And he actually has a reach advantage in this fight. No doubt about it, this is the toughest test of Islam's career. Nice win over Charles Oliveira, absolutely. But Volkanovski's a different animal. He's a cardio machine with an insane plus 3.26 striking differential in the UFC. This ain't Bobby Green or Dan Hooker. Give me the pound-for-pound king, Volkanovski, as a big dog plus 310. All right, Ian, let's drop one fight. Co-main event, what are you looking at?
I like the underdog in the co-main event, the interim featherweight title here. I'm going to take Josh Emmett plus 150 against Yair Rodriguez. I think Josh Emmett might be one of the most underrated fighters inside of the UFC. He's 18-2 in his career, 9-2 in the UFC. His only losses came via split decision in 2017 and a knockout loss to Jeremy Stephens in 2018. And sometimes that just happens when you're fighting Jeremy Stephens. Josh Emmett, huge defensive advantage in this fight, which I think could make a big difference here. He stopped 63% of the significant strikes thrown at him. Yair Rodriguez only stops 53%. That is a 10% difference in defensive percentage here. Also, watch out for Josh Emmett's wrestling. He hasn't used it a ton in the UFC, but he could utilize it to his advantage here in this fight. He did wrestle in junior college. Also, he's a member of Team Alpha Male, and we all know a ton of wrestlers come from that camp. So keep an eye on that wrestling of Josh Emmett this weekend as well. Give me him to win, pull off the upset at plus 150 in the co-main event.
All right, we hop right back up to the main event. Makhachev Volkanovski. I like this fight to go to decision, coming in at plus 130. So, of course, we all know Volkanovski is an absolute decision machine. He's gone to the scorecards in 8 of his last 11 fights. He's never been finished in the UFC, and these men have combined to be finished just 2 times in 50 combined fights. I think that there's a possibility that wrestling could chew up a lot of clock here, a lot of time potentially up against the cage and down on the mat. The big question for this fight, how will Islam look in the later rounds? If he can't get the early finish, as he tends to do versus much weaker competition, how will he hold up versus the pace and volume of Volkanovski? The longer the fight goes, the less likely we are to see a finish. I like this one to go all 5 at plus 130. All right, Ian, what are you looking at next?
Yeah, another main card fight here. I'm going to take Jack Della Maddalena to win via KO/TKO at minus 130. Against Randy Brown. This guy might be the next big thing in the UFC. He is an absolute animal. 8.45 significant strikes per minute. That's a lot. Now he's taking on a Randy Brown who doesn't fight very defensively. Only 54% defensive rate. He's going to get hit by a lot of those 8.5 significant strikes per minute. Also, Della Maddalena. 11 of his 13 wins in his career have come by knockout/TKO. His last 3 fights in the UFC have come via first-round knockout. I think he's going to finish this fight via KO/TKO. There's a reason why it's at minus 130. I still think it's worth a bet there, so that's my second UFC pick. Della Maddalena via KO/TKO.
All right, my final pick. We have an absolute steal of a bet here. Heavyweight fight taking place on the main card between Justin Tafa and Parker Porter. Under 2.5 rounds, we can get that at -140. This is an absolute steal. These men like to throw that leather. 6.49 significant strikes per minute for Porter, 5.02 for Tafa. Each of them have awful striking defense. 5.94 significant strikes per minute absorbed for Tafa, 6.32 for Porter. And take a look at their fight careers here. 27 combined fights for these guys. Only 6 of them have gone the distance. This is an absolute steal. Someone is getting knocked out. Tafa, Porter, under 2.5 rounds, -140. All right, Ian, bring it home for us. Your final pick for the pay-per-view. What are we looking at?
Yes, I'm looking at a prelim fight here. Let's see if I can pronounce this guy's name right. I'm going to take Melsic Baghdasaryan, -105. Yes. I think that wasn't too bad. -105 against Joshua Culibao. Did I pronounce that one correctly? Who knows? But Baghdasaryan, big advantage in striking accuracy here. He lands 62% of his strikes. Culibao only lands 44%. That's an almost 20% difference in striking accuracy. Not only is Melsic more accurate, but he also has a higher pace with his significant strikes. 6 significant strikes per minute compared to 3.06 significant strikes per minute for Culibao. Also, Culibao's record not impressive. 2-1-1 in the UFC. His last win came via split decision against a fighter that's 0-3 in his last 3 fights. I'm kind of surprised that Baghdasaryan is a very slight underdog here. I'll take him -105 in the prelims.